Oh, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We had some more technical difficulties today. Yeah. You know, it's just how we roll.
Yes. Well, you know what, Sharon? This isn't small talk. This is this is the question that changes everything. You know, how do we see our entire inner world? You know, welcome to the Holy Shiftball podcast. I'm Bethany, your bestie, alongside my fabulous co-host, Sharon. Woo, girl. Hey.
Woo. Well, we've been dodging shift balls ourselves this morning. So it was supposed to be Lydia Urban talking about where do thoughts come from, but you get more consciousness with the dummies. Aren't you lucky?
Oh, girl, where do we even begin?
Well, you know, I don't know what. Okay, so
you know, I'd like to talk to you first about, all of the conversations that we've had up to this point. You know, we've had, conscious. What is consciousness? Is our brain creating consciousness? Why two people can experience the same moment? You know, they can be standing beside one another, and two people be experiencing totally different realities. We've had the observer effect, and then today we were going to have the conscious conversation around, what are thoughts? And where do they actually come from? So what, out of everything that we've already touched on this WTF is Consciousness series, what has been one of the most informative for you?
Oh my gosh. It's hard to choose someone that was more informative than another, but I think the girl we had on a couple of weeks ago, now forgive me, I've got to look and see what her name was.
Christina?
Or
Jennifer?
Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Jennifer McKenzie was excellent. And Heather Zimmerman was really good too.
I found that the observer effect really, was one of those conversations where, you really sit back and you take a step back and you just observe your thoughts, because, as you and I talk quite a bit, our thoughts, our mind, our mental bodies, that mental chatter, it will lie to you. Your mind will lie to you.
I like a rug, man.
Will tell you stuff that is not true.
Not even close.
No.
And so that's the thing. Where do those thoughts come from? And if people will say, just sit back, relax, and observe your thoughts. Like when you're meditating, they say, just observe your thoughts, let them float in and out. Well, if we are creating our thoughts, who is observing them? If we're creating them, how can we create and observe at the same time?
Well, I mean,
so who's creating them and who's observing them? What's happening?
Yeah. Well, just being aware that you are, but I mean, when you sit back and observe it and ask, where did that thought come from? Who's creating it? And then who's observing it?
Yeah.
The consciousness, the being, the body, what is it? But yeah,
and how much of our thoughts come from the collective? Because as you have said before, when you're going through the grocery store with, Trainwreck Thomas and Debbie Downer and all the other people.
Yeah.
And because you're taking in their energy and you're up, and then all of a sudden you have thoughts in your head that you're like, where did that come from? I don't even know. But meanwhile, you've been around other people. So our thoughts in the collective, do we just create our own thoughts? Do we only understand our own thoughts? Do we hear other people's thoughts, for lack of a better term, or see them?
Because for me, I had to back it up a bit so people can kind of understand what we're talking about here. One day I was asked to go to the grocery store to pick up some hamburger buns. And before I got to the grocery store, I was fine, girl. I was out here thriving and vibing, having a good old time. But here's the thing. I get inside the grocery store, and I mean my reality was reality in, because I get to the bread aisle and I
Mhm.
look up and there's nobody on the bread aisle. But I
Yep.
get a quarter way down, I get my hamburger buns and I look up and there's now 5 or 6 beings people at the end of the bread aisle. I was like, well, isn't that interesting? So I grabbed my bread and I put it in. And I get to, I start making my way down to the other end of the bread aisle, and I know that I have an electromagnetic field, and it's an invisible field
Mhm.
that we do not see as a human because we only see 3 to 5% of the light spectrum.
Exactly.
So we're
Precisely.
walking around here blind as bats, but you can sense, when you really take a step in, you can really, have you ever been around somebody and you walk into a room and you get up next to them and you feel calm?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
yeah.
Or vice versa.
So
Or somebody walks into the room and sucks the energy right out of it.
yeah, but we're
That
not
happened to me the
consciously
other day. I was
aware
like,
of it because we're
whoa.
so busy in our minds.
Hmm.
So when I got up to the bread aisle, I was fine. Now remind you. So I'm crossing. There, it had to been, Debbie Downer, damn train wreck Thomas, because after I got to the end of the bread aisle, girl, I was in literally fight or flight.
Yeah.
My thought processes were in fear, anger,
Hmm.
rage, frustration, aggravation, agitation. I was like, what in the world is going on? So
Yeah.
I paid for my bread and I get in the car.
But that's energy. That's energy. You're feeling their energy, right? Because
That's
before you
there.
get to them, you're feeling their energy. They're feeling yours.
But that's the thing about we're being unconscious and unaware, you have this electromagnetic field. So
Hmm.
when I pushed up next to these people, my energy, my aura, my electromagnetic field is what they read, is what they come in contact
Yeah.
before the body, before Bethany. So my field is what they came in contact with. Now, when you come in contact and you're out at, at these restaurants, on, at the library, at the gas station, and you're around a bunch of people, your electromagnetic field is intertangling with these other in training with these
Hmm.
other electromagnet. Now,
Yes.
if these people have the running these thought processes because your mind is projecting a frequency out into the field,
Right.
and your heart is also projecting that out, that makes up the electromagnetic field. So if you're unconscious and unaware, when you're pushing up next to the being, I when my field came in contact with them, I picked up what was in their field, and I
Mhm.
was gonna run it as if it was my own, and it's not, it wasn't.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and that begs the question, two questions. So you're picking up on their thoughts or on their electromagnetic field, which is influencing your thoughts. So do thoughts create emotion or does emotion create thoughts?
But that's the thing. If you're unaware of it, your thoughts can generate emotion. And what is emotion? Energy, emotion, emotion.
Right.
So
Exactly.
being
But
conscious and
but
aware,
you're picking up on their energy. So you're picking up on their energetic emotional patterns.
they're
So
trying.
if you're right, which are creating thoughts in your head, because prior to picking up on those energetic emotional patterns, you had positive thoughts. You were doing the bebop to the Bethany beat and you were happy and living life. You're high vibing. And then you get in contact with their energy.
Mhm.
And now it's bringing you down energetically and creating
But
thoughts in your head that you'd
here's
prefer
the
not to
mind
have.
shift. Here's the mind shift is that
Mhm.
I had choice when I pushed up next to them. I could have chose, oh my gosh, here comes this thought form in. Am I going to choose to run it and believe
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But I was unconscious, unaware, but for a moment that all of a sudden I chose to allow it to think a thought, an
Yeah.
emotion, and I didn't have the awareness until I was already spinning out. So you have a choice in each thought form that comes in. Am I going to choose to think it, feel it, and run it? But
Yeah.
gaining an awareness of the choice is the whole mind shift, because that you have to become present and aware, and you can't allow yourself to be in these
For sure. For
and
sure. So I
and
always put
that takes
myself
a
in a
lot.
bubble. I always put myself in an energetic bubble prior to going to the store because then I'm aware of the negativity or even the positivity. Like you can just feel others' energy and I'm aware of their energy, but it doesn't, it's just like, no, not today. You can just keep that all over there. You guys, you have yours, I'll have mine. Life is good. And so I used to, like you say, before we were aware, we would take all of that home with us and it would affect us. Not anymore. Not
But
anymore. I'm like,
also just think about it as this. I mean, and so when I got into my car from that grocery store,
mhm.
I literally had to clear my field because I was conscious aware enough that if I took this on and went back to my house, that same energetic residue would have got off onto my family, and
Yes.
before I know it, it would have got spun them out and got them into aggravation, agitation, frustration, and so I had to. We weren't taught about
No,
energy hygiene, energy awareness.
no, we weren't.
We weren't.
And you can, like, you can put yourself in an energetic bubble, and white light, pink light, whatever color of light suits you, with the intention that you're not taking on everyone else's energy. And so then when you go and you're interacting with others, like I was interacting with people this week and in person, which is a rarity for me because I typically choose not to. But and there was a person there that as soon as they walked in the room, they sucked the energy out of it. It was just like this big dark cloud. And then there was another person there who was like, woo, sunshine and happiness. And they'd walk in the room and it was like, yay. So it's really interesting because that you can be affected positively or negatively. And yeah, it's really fascinating to see how everyone's energy affects a room, like
You know,
a whole room full of people.
yeah, yeah.
And you can tell the people who are already on that wavelength because they're not changed. Like, because I will survey the energy in the room and watch other people, how they react to different energies. And if they don't have a reaction, then that means they're pretty much aligned with whatever's happening in that moment, whether it be higher energy or lower energy.
But at what
It's
part do
interesting.
you what at what part do you feel that like attracts like? That what you put out is what you get back. How often does that resonate? In because I find this interesting. They
Mhm.
say that we create our reality, that everything is a projection from ourselves. So when we come in contact with these lower beings, um, what is that really saying?
Well, it's saying that, okay, so we have many different parts, and if like we all have anger, we all have sadness, we all have guilt, we all have shame to some degree, we all have happiness, joy, bliss, creativity. So when we're meeting all these people with all these different vibrational frequencies and different thought patterns, they're reflecting a part of us. So it's whether or not we allow that part to come out or not, right?
You
Because we're internal family systems, IFS.
know,
So we're made up of a myriad of different feelings, emotions, different energetic frequencies, right? All within our body.
well, that's just it brings me back to the same conversation that my crossed over son brings to me. He's like,
Mhm.
"Mom, hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
mom, what are we doing?" You know, and because you can't see with the human eye, but once you start to regulate your emotional system, your nervous system, and start to choose from a place of choice and staying in the question, how he brought it to me is like, mom, for me to be able to communicate with the higher intelligent beings that
Mhm.
vibrate at a much higher rate, to get the downloads, to get the instant, intuitive um telepathy that I receive, I have to vibrate at such a higher rate because those higher astral beings, they don't vibrate. They don't have the lower shame,
Exactly.
blame, guilt, rage. They don't have that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm finding it interesting that when I'm even scrolling through social media, Sharon, that
Mhm.
I can pick up these emotions of,
Yeah.
lack, less than,
Mhm.
worry, agitation, aggravation. And it's just from scrolling through
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah. Because everything is energy, and their energetic feeling behind what they're putting on social media comes through because we're open to receiving
Exactly.
and understanding it, and not that we carry it. We just receive it and then delete it, really is what we do.
Well, does tell me what you get. I mean, because they say the quantum science says that there's no space. You know what I mean? That everything. So, can your energetic field, electromagnetic field, really entangle with the person that you're watching on a TV screen?
Absolutely. 100%. You
Yeah.
can, you can entangle with anybody.
Sharon, how many times have you sat down? I know we don't watch the news, but how
No,
many times
we
have
don't.
we sat down when we were unconscious and unaware and we were watching these news, channels and, now taking a step back, and you're able to see the frequency, the vibrations that's being projected onto your body. How does that I mean, to me, it feels like the same thing as the grocery store.
Exactly. And like we were talking about earlier, there is subliminal programming on, and there has been for years on TV. So sometimes you watch a commercial for shredded wheat, and all of a sudden, no, you decide you want to have a cigarette or you want to have a Coca-Cola, something totally unrelated. It's because there's subliminal advertising in there. There's subliminal messaging. It's from so Coke might be owned by the same company as shredded wheat. And I mean, if I'm wrong there, whatever, I'm not saying that it is, but there are major conglomerates that own a bunch of different products. So
Only
they'll
3 companies own, all of the thing, and that's Vanguard, BlackRock, and
oh,
State Street.
exactly. So then they'll have subliminal advertising or subliminal messaging in their commercials so that they have
Ron
Ron,
says,
no.
"No, they wouldn't do
Uh,
that because 'cause they're
buckle
consumers."
up, Ron. Start paying attention to when you're watching something and all of a sudden you have a craving for something or you want something, or all of a sudden you feel upset for no reason. There's a lot of subliminal messages coming through that TV, and it affects our moods 100%.
And, I have
And
the
it's energetic.
on the research that I have done so much about, the light spectrum and, they have so much technology on even the coloration, the pixels that they just when an ad comes across your TV, they have it, collaborated so that the light spectrums reach a certain point of your eyes where it sends a message to the
Mhm.
brain that
Yep,
this is something that I like, this is something that
yep,
I need, this is
yep.
something that, and it's so interesting that, you turn on your TV to locate your channel to receive your programming. I find that so interesting.
Oh, it's incredible, and they have got it, all the major companies have got it down to a science.
Mhm.
They know what makes us buy. They know all of it because they've been studying people, humans for years, and that's why they send out, forms and things, all these surveys people take. So they know what gets us interested. They know what makes us go, "Oh, I like that color." Most women like this color, so a lot of packaging, stems towards that, depending on, what your product is and who you're advertising to. It's incredible. When I was taking marketing courses, it was absolutely a course in psychology. That's all. It was a course in human behavior,
Yeah,
and you can bet every product on every shelf in every store
yeah.
knows what makes you tick and what makes you buy.
And I was watching a documentary, like, how they have the setup of the stores, how to
Mhm.
flow,
Yeah.
in a way to get you to purchase, the end caps and all kinds of stuff. It's just really interesting when this reality is not what we've been taught, told, and made to believe, that's for sure.
Not even close.
You know, so,
Which is
Sharon, how's your body feeling?
my body feels great. It
Awesome.
really does, it does. And how's yours, Bethany? Yours isn't quite doing so well.
Mm, yeah, it's interesting. It's what I receive because, I like to just stay in the question because when I'm in a question, I'm empowering.
Exactly.
And, so I asked my body, I was like, so what are we doing? Like, what's going on here? And so this morning I received that I'm processing, a lot for my family. Both of my dogs are very sick. My parents are, and so it's interesting that I've picked up some kind of bug and I'm processing this for them. It feels like, and it's also interesting when you go and take a look at the Schumann resonance. What is coming on planet right now is absolutely just and to the point of insanity. And I have found that, when these solar flares, when the sun is at its, most active, that I find that because it's very high plasma light coming on, and I am finding that the denseness in my body, the emotions, the stuckness, the programs, the all of the stuff that the body has held on through this
Mm.
lifetime is being brought up to my awareness to shift it, and to give me a choice. Do I choose to continue to run the programs that I have all my life, or I have a choice? I can do something different to get a different outcome. So it's interesting, and it's been really cold here in Memphis, the past few, for me anyway. I mean, look at
Okay.
me. I got a sweater on, girl. It's like, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
50 something degrees, and I haven't been out and did any of my grounding work, just putting my feet on the earth and just being
So,
there and being present.
well, now when it's wintertime here, people say, "Oh, just go outside and ground." The fucking ground is frozen, man. Like we can't. What do we? What we're
Yeah,
gonna take our socks off, stand in a snowbank for what?
yeah,
No, we're not. Frostbite's not on our list, our bingo card today. So,
right.
um, but we were talking earlier, and I said, "Yeah, it's really nice out. I don't even have to wear a jacket today." She goes, "Oh, what's the temperature?" I said, 30.
Freezes at that temperature, Sharon.
Yes, yes, it does. Well, kind of. It gets a little frosty for sure, but yeah.
Oof,
Anyways,
girl.
be
Well,
happening.
hey, I get that. I can understand that for sure. For sure. Well, Sharon, this has been, I always enjoy
Okay.
when we can sit down, have a conversation about, you know, at this point, it's hilarious about what's being shown in the media. I mean, it's just like, are you kidding me? I get so many posts a day. Did you see this? Did you see this about what, the orange man saying what they're not saying, and at this point it's like I
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
even entertain anything anymore, because at this moment it's like, okay, when is the clown car going to show up, and when are all of the clowns
Yeah.
going to come out of
Well, the
because
clown
that's what
clown car is here. They just take turns getting out of it.
yeah, it's
It's like,
like,
okay, this one's good. It's like playing whack-a-mole with ridiculous leaders. This one pops up and does something stupid. It goes away. This one pops up, does something. Then that one goes away. And then all of a sudden these two are in cahoots. And nope, now they're not. Now,
I mean, but it's
now
like
this one's friends
happening.
with this. Yeah, it's it's crazy. But you know what? It's fun. It's fun to watch because. And I was just out for dinner with a couple of ladies last night, and one said, "I have to keep my husband from watching TV because he gets so upset with what's happening in the world and there's nothing we can do about it. So why get upset about it?" I was like, thank you. Because there's no point in watching all the news feeds and going, oh, this person, and for what? Why? What
And
what are you
how's
changing by doing that? You're changing nothing. Nothing
it's
except for
all
yourself,
for your
your
entertainment,
frequency.
all for your entertainment,
Absolutely.
all
That's
for
the way I
your,
look at it.
and to get an emotion from it, to
Yeah.
get an
To,
emotion,
to
to give it.
inspire, to incite that negativity. And, yeah, I just won't. I can't.
I
I can't
can't.
operate in negativity.
I just can't. I'm just like, yeah, okay, all right. That's
But
pretty
my
interesting.
question I wanna leave our audience with is,
Yeah.
do we create our own thoughts? And if we do, to what degree? Because 'cause we're all energy, so everything we think, say, feel is hanging out in the collective. So to what degree do the thoughts that others have and without
Oh, there we go.
little blip. So what influence do the thoughts in the collective have that influence us, and how much do they influence us, right?
Well, this is an interesting concept
Mhm,
because it goes back to the 100th monkey effect.
mhm,
Where one monkey, was given a coconut, and I think it was a coconut, and so through time the monkey learned to go to the ocean, wash the sand off, and eat it. And
mhm.
before they even knew it, the whole clan of these monkeys were on an island, and then all of the monkeys were doing this to the coconut, and then an
Monkeys
adjacent
on the mainland
on
started
the
doing it
mainland
without even
without
knowing
even
that
having
the
any
monkeys
contact.
on the island were doing it. There's no way the monkeys on the mainland in the jungle knew that these other monkeys were doing it, yet it was transferred through
So would it
the
be
ether.
so, I mean, going through from that's, that experiment alone, would it be safe to say that we are all one being or one race of people having a human experience from different perspectives, and what
Yes,
we take up, we can learn from each other instead of fighting each other?
exactly. And that speaks back to the observer effect,
Mhm.
because if we're all one being having an experience, an individualized experience from our own perspective, then that explains how two people can have the same identical experience, same identical situation, and experience it completely differently, have different thoughts, different ideas, different opinions, different feelings, different everything, two
Vi-
completely different outcomes.
Vibrating on a different frequency.
Yes. Yeah, and that has a lot to do it too. Whatever vibrational frequency you're vibrating at, dictates how you're going to experience life, right? If you're a lower vibrational frequency, feeling sorry for yourself, and I'm playing the victim all the time, then no matter where you go in life, that's how you're going to feel. But as you rise up through the vibrational frequencies,
Well,
you
it goes
start to
back to the
experience more and more
It goes
amazing
back
things.
to it goes back to the belief. If you believe that you're are
Yes.
a victim, that
Mhm.
you are, you know,
Life
uh,
is happening
you're
to you.
to you instead of for
Mhm.
you, you are going to attract and going to recreate scenarios that confirm that frequency of the blaming, the whole
Yeah.
victimhood, and it
It's
just until you
self-perpetuates.
yeah, and then
Mhm.
you'll find yourself on the wheel of nowhere doing the
Yep.
same thing in different scenarios, but the same emotion will be tied
Mhm.
together to that experience until you gain the awareness and say, "You know what? Damn, I've done that so much. I am so
Ugh,
sick of
I
that.
wanna feel better. I wanna
Yeah,
feel better.
I'm gonna
So,
choose something different and start
yeah.
to feel it, because once you feel it, you get that energetic,
Mhm.
tether to it. And once you've changed the feeling from within, you project it out, and so you can attract something different to you.
But at the same time, you have to change your internal belief system, because what you believe is what you receive. So if you truly believe you're a victim, that's what's gonna keep showing up. You'll have glimpses of happiness and joy and creativity and, success, but then you go right back to feeling like a victim, because that's what your internal belief system is. So while you're choosing something new, you also have to believe, really, truly, internally believe that you're worthy of it, and that you want it, and that you're accepting of it, that you are choosing that. So it's a process. Like, I mean, we
You have
vibe
peace
at
of
a
mind.
at a
That's
bit of a higher frequency for sure. And but we still have our difficult days. We still have things that happen in our lives that we're like, "Oh man," but we don't build a house there. We allow it to happen. We allow it to, we feel the emotions of it, and then we go, okay, so now what? What's the why did this happen for me? We're going to choose to see the positive in it, and we're going to learn a lesson from that. And so the negative things in our lives are fewer and farther between,
yeah. Yeah.
because we are choosing differently, but we believe also that we are worthy of happiness, joy, bliss, creativity, love, both giving and receiving, supportive people in our lives, and mutual respect, and all of those things. We truly believe we are deserving of that, and that makes a huge difference. In 10 years ago, whoa. Oh man, that was a shit show, I'll tell you. Because my thought pattern, my belief system was completely different.
Yeah. 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 Well, Sharon, I'd like to take this moment to wish all of the mothers a happy Mother's Day this weekend.
Yes. Mhm.
Um, happy Mother's Day. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
So,
hope that you have all the love and support and amazingness in your life that we do,
and
and,
be
we wish
grateful
you
that those
nothing.
children get on your damn nerves. Be grateful.
Absolutely, yes. Coming from someone who knows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, be
Yep.
grateful for it all. All right, Sharon, who do we have on the show? What are we doing next week? Oh, yeah.
Well, next week it's supposed to be the 2 of us just talking about what we've learned so far. So, we're gonna change that up, because we had some technical difficulties today. We have 2 possibilities.
Yep.
The one that we have contact is Bill De La Cruz to, what was his topic going to be? To talk to us about,
Are you living
are
your
you
life or running on
unconscious programming?
Yep.
Yes. What's running your life? You or your unconscious programming.
Ooh,
And
that'll
so
be
hopefully we get Bill on. If not, there's another person that we can invite on. So
or you get more consciousness with the dummies. Who knows? Well, Sharon,
yep,
it's been
yep,
a blast as
it
always
has.
to
Yes,
have this conversation with you. You're an amazing being, and I appreciate
as
it.
are you.
I
We're
know.
both very blessed.
Yes, we are. I love you so much,
I
sister.
love you too, babes.
And
And
yes,
if you like this episode,
be sure to like, follow, share, and leave us a comment. Let us know if this
resonated,
conversation has shifted your shit.
and if it hasn't, why? And what would you like to see?
Yeah.
Like we would love your feedback. We'd love some interaction and some feedbacks. And we appreciate Hugo. Thank you for joining us today, Hugo. We love it. Love it when you're around. And
All right.
remember,
All right, Sharon. Remember, until next time, when life kicks you in the balls, be sure to tune in to your Holy Shiftball podcast.
where we will help you turn that shit into a shift.
All
See
right.
you next week.
Exactly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.